Good morning. Thank you very much for your presence here. I would like to thank you first, the organization, for this opportunity to exchange some thoughts about our observatorium. We're going to focus today about security in the Atlantic. Okay. I would like to thank Michael, Paul, Pablo, all the staff for helping us to put in place this presentation. We're going to organize in two parts. First, my colleague Nadia will talk a little bit about our observatorium, okay? And then I take the second part of the presentation. I will go a little bit more deep, and I will talk about the Atlantic and the security in the Atlantic, okay? So Nadia, thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Luis. So thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time to be here. I'm very proud to be here today because precisely a year ago, the OED, which stands for Observatorium for Digital Ecosystems and Infrastructure, was formally announced at Atlantic's Convergence of 2024. And so it is with great pride that we are here today as speakers, taking center stage to tell you what we have been doing for the past year and what is our role, our mission, and how we want to position ourselves in the scene concerning Portugal's importance and how we want to congregate the stakeholders around important topics to improve connectivity in the Atlantic region. In a nutshell, and going straight to our presentation. Oops, sorry. Okay, no, it's okay. So, the OED is a multidisciplinary platform or institute that was created to help generate first to generate knowledge and dialogue around policies that are key to the digital ecosystem and infrastructures. We were lucky enough to be able to join people from around all sectors. We have engineers, we have lawyers, we have people from the area of communications, cybersecurity, the military, like Luis and our president, Elder Fiar Jesus, and working in the field of artificial intelligence, and also policymakers. We research, we convene, and we also turn policy into operating practice. Luis and myself, and also the other board members, we also try in our interventions as OED, we also try to be independent in our analysis. This is key for the observatorium to be successful. And this means that we look at what is relevant to public needs and operator realities, and then we try to produce outputs that are usable. So our basic mission, and this was something that we thought all together when devising our strategic mission, which was a collaborative effort, not only from the board, but also from all the people that are together in the observatorium, which, just as a side information, was born out of a WhatsApp group. Our strategic mission is threefold: to promote research and innovation, to inform public policy on governance and security of critical digital infrastructures, and to promote Portugal's role as a geostrategic hub in the Atlantic's digital networks. Basically, this means what? This means asking ourselves one single question. Do ministries, regulators, and operators use what we will publish? If yes, our mission is accomplished. If not, we need to adjust and adapt. And what have we been doing for the past year? So we have made a selection of some of the activities. This is just a sample of what we have been doing. But so we have engaged in partnerships with several entities, such as Portugal Data Center, and the goal is to foster a cooperative digital infrastructure ecosystem. We have promoted research projects which have involved several members of the observatorium. And our latest document, well, apart from the document that we are going to announce today, was a public policy document entitled 25 Strategic Measures for Digital Terrestrial Cohesion, which addresses equitable access to connectivity. And this was to leverage upon the municipal elections that took place recently. So it was for us a very interesting opportunity to submit to municipalities a document that we think that was missing in the political scenario, because we see these spread out in several documents from regulators, but there wasn't one single document encompassing all measures that we think are key to promoting a truly connected territory, including the islands and not only the mainland. We have promoted thematic conferences on submarine cables. In June, we promoted a conference that was highly participated on smart cables, for example, but also on maritime security and digital resilience. And we have engaged with government organizations, ministries, and private sector on issues pertaining to digital policy and security frameworks. Basically, this why do we think that we matter? Basically, because of these key points that we have highlighted in this slide. So, being Portugal a maritime hinge with dense cable routes, this is a known fact, and that's what we have been discussing throughout this conference, and with major landing points, this also implies responsibility and means that it's of vital importance that security, monitoring, and cooperation are taken into consideration. So these are daily tasks and are not theoretical issues to be taken into consideration. And these are our daily tasks. So, and for this, and that's my part, I'm the lawyer, fortunately not the only lawyer in the observatorium, this means that legal frameworks are vital. So, and this means that harmonized legal frameworks are key to ensuring that security in the Atlantic routes are ensured. So maybe for most of us here in the audience, undersea cable security is something that we are acquainted with and most familiarized with, but the general public has been aware of this basically over the past 2 years with the surge of armed conflicts and the incidents that have been taking place in the Baltic and the Northern Atlantic. So, and this has brought to light, or at least has shed more importance on the need to achieve legal frameworks, not only at the EU level, but also at other international levels where, for example, Portugal is a part of, like the NATO, but also international institutions where Portugal is also a part of, like the CPLP, when we think of Brazil or when we think of Angola or Cape Verde, which are also interconnected to Portugal by undersea cables. And this is why I thought it would be interesting to highlight the need to ensure and to think about how we can achieve more harmonized frameworks, because without harmonized frameworks, we cannot ensure resilience, we cannot devise policies that will be critical to solve the main issue that Luis is now going to address, which is the security dilemma in the Atlantic, and which also takes a great part of our daily task. So, Luis, over to you.
Nadia, thank you very much. Okay, Nadia, thank you very much for this very clear presentation about our observatorium. I hope now you feel a little bit more attractive to our kind of work. So I will take now the starting for the second part of our presentation. We're going to talk about security, okay? We're going to talk about security in the Atlantic. And we draft a paper inside our observatorium to discuss exactly this point, okay? So what can we do? What can we together do for the security in the Atlantic? So you have this document, this policy brief is the document that's going to be available now, and I'm talking about some points of this policy brief. Well, as an introduction, you know already that we have about 600 submarine fiber optical cables, 1.2 million kilometers under sea. We have only in 2024, 338 new cables that are crossing all the Atlantics. And of course, for 2025, we have another additional 81 cables, which mean that, of course, this map it shows very well what is the reality, what is the real reality of the geopolitics of the sea cables. So, and we care about the Atlantic, you know, because the Atlantic is vital, not only for the connection between both sides of the Atlantic, but also the geopolitical connection. That's something that you care about. So, the question that they want to take for this presentation and for this paper is, do we have in Atlantic a security dilemma, which is in digital connectivity, we have to do something? Do we have any problems related to the security? For example, are you able to deal with sabotage, espionage, or some interferences? Are you able to do some mitigation, some strategic mitigations? What is the NATO and the European Union role in this security in the Atlantic? And what can we do together, countries, companies, for the security of the digital connectivity? So this is the a certain number of questions that we want to discuss. Of course, we don't have answers for these questions because these questions are too complicated, okay? So what we're going to provide is some ideas how to mitigate, how to look these problems from the Atlantic point of view. So I now invite you to go to this QR code and you can have access to the document, okay? It's a 6-7 pages document. The document is divided in 4 parts. One executive summary, where I'm going to start to talk very briefly about. Then we're going to talk about strategic risks, strategic opportunities, and in the end, we do some recommendations, I will say political strategic recommendations for all the stakeholders that cares about security in the Atlantic. So what do we do in this paper? We create some scenarios. In these scenarios, we see what are the major threats and what can we do to solve these problems, taking in considerations the new threats, the hybrid threats like cyber, like sabotage, like all the kind of threats that you can imagine, and we have it now in the Atlantic. Of course, part of our representation is also focused on the legal aspects, which is for us very important. We are doing also baby steps in this point. We have a lot to think, a lot to do, but just be in mind that some of the measures are more from the political side and others are from the operational side. Anyway, please feel free to comment and we'll be more than happy to receive your comments about this presentation. Okay, so what can we see about strategic risks in the North Atlantic? We have a couple one. In fact, we identify 9 strategic risks. The first one, I think, is obvious for everybody, is that our sea cables, they are a very fragile system, okay? They are a blind spot for sabotage, for surveillance, for natural threats. We are facing a lot of challenge, and many of the threats affect the connectivity and affects, of course, this relation between the Atlantic. And we know, of course, that 95% of the communications, they cross the Atlantic using these facilities. Second point is about the cyber resilience gap. Okay, we miss a coordination. We miss, of course, a common understanding of what's happened on the cyber domain, and we need to work on a better way to respond and to get the appropriate response for this kind of threats. Third point, I think, is also obvious, the maritime domain awareness. We are losing a lot of information because we don't have a system that allowed us to understand what's happened on the deep sea and what's happened related to this infrastructure. We know now that in Portugal we are planning to have the Atlantic CAM, and the Atlantic CAM will be for sure a very important equipment to provide and to participate in this maritime domain awareness. We have energy security vulnerabilities. We have, for example, not understandable very well what the European Union understands with the plan of cable security. So we have to improve also our understanding. We have to coordinate better what is the difference between the operation side and the legal side. Okay, we understand that there are, of course, some dilemmas that we have to face and we have to be in mind. There are negative gaps. You are aware about the NIS2, you are aware about some directives that the European Union is putting in place, and we need to harmonize this legislation. We need, of course, to explore a little bit more deep what's happened on this kind of tools. And I will go legal protection, data sovereignty, and the last one, I think, is missing what we can call a multilateral cooperation, okay? It's not enough what we have. We have, of course, place for everybody to cooperate. We talk about NATO and the European Union cooperation, but is missing a lot of organization in the Atlantic. And for example, as you're going to see in the next part, we also advise that we engage African organizations in this domain, putting also in cooperation with another organizations to cover all the Atlantic and, of course, cover all the responsibilities that we have. Now, one of the second part is, so what are the strategic opportunities that we have? Of course, we identify 7. What can we do at a strategical and political level? I think the first thing that we should look is to create a border cross link between both sides of the Atlantic, okay? We have to work better between United States, America, and Europe, and Africa. We have to understand each other better, and we have to cross better communication, and we have to do what we, for example, in the cyber domain, we have to understand and we have to cooperate in creation a cyber agreement in both sides of the Atlantic. We have to do the mapping of these sea cables. We don't know exactly where they are. We don't know exactly how to protect these sea cables, and we have to combine and we have to agree in mapping in a real time these activities. For example, we have to create blue corridors for crossing sea cables in the Atlantic in a way that we are able to protect and you are able to know and understand what's happening in these blue corridors. We have to increase our cooperation in R&D. We have to increase budget, create more capabilities, autonomous maritime platforms, defense systems, naval technology. I mean, we have to invest more. European Union is doing more, NATO is doing more, but we feel that together we have a chance now, we have an opportunity to increase in a better way the cooperation, increase the investment in this very clear identified need. We need, of course, and Nadia will go a little bit more deep after this conversation, we have to develop a better legal framework. What we have now for the legislation of the sea is not enough to cover all the problems that we are facing in protecting these sea cables. And of course, I will jump now to the recommendations, because if you have strategic risks, if you understand that we have strategic opportunities, now what can we do? And the observatorium, we provide a couple of recommendations that go for different levels, but in our view, it's possible to improve the security in the Atlantic using a part of these recommendations. I think the first one is, in our view, obvious, and it touched the cooperation between different organizations. And I mentioned, of course, in the first place, NATO and the European Union, but you have to increase our cooperation. We have to bring African organizations and get a bigger framework and create what we can call an Atlantic Security Forum to discuss these problems, of course, in cooperation with the Atlantic Center that you know already. We have it in Azores. We have to have a joint Atlantic Resilience Initiative. What can we do after a problem in the sea cable? What can we do together to improve if some connectivity is missing? Okay, and we know already that we have to cooperate together, we have to put in place, we have to work together to create a joint resilience initiative. The blue corridors, of course, the Atlantic dialogue, improve the Atlantic dialogue, create an easy license processing. It is important at a political level between the cooperation of the states and the organization, try to facilitate companies to improve and facilitate this, put in place these sea cables. We are very aware about the cybersecurity, and we need, of course, to create more resilience in our systems. And the resilience is, of course, created by the cooperation between stakeholders and, of course, by the organizations. For example, we propose to have an action plan for the sea cable security. We need to do something, okay? Because normally what we have is strategic assessments. We have identified the problems, but we don't have an action plan, okay? So we need to have this action plan. We need to put in place some activities to improve our resilience. Of course, the legislation that we have now is not enough, you know already. We have to promote inside the European Union a couple of certifications for the cybersecurity domain. We have also to improve our response to what they are the responsible for the companies. And in the last, but one of these 10 measures that you propose, we have to call and we have to apply for a better investment. For example, the European Defence Fund is a very good opportunity to improve, to invest in all kinds of technologies that are going to improve our responsibility, our security, and the Atlantic. We hope with this document, of course, we don't have answers for everything, but what we want to do, we want to create the opportunity to discuss these topics. We want to create the opportunity to be in mind that we have to discuss among different levels what we have and what problems are we facing. And everybody should be aware that security matters. And if it's not care about security and then connectivity, technology, what things we have maybe will not be enough, maybe we'll have a problem. So thank you very much for your presentation, and I will be more than happy to have your comments, your questions, and please feel free to join the observatorium. Feel free to email us any questions, any topic for discussion, okay? Thank you very much.